Hello and welcome to today's live. Today I'm going to be talking with Tailoring Gratitude, also here on Instagram. We are doing a series and we're going to be talking about thriving with CKD. And today's topic is going to be on finding your purpose with CKD. So, hello! I already have some first people hopping on. I see you're here, Tailoring Gratitude, so go ahead and ask to join and I will bring you up. Hello. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Maggie Duckham. I said that wrong. Rodney's Kidney Journey. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Here she comes. All right. How's it going, Tracy? How you doing? Hello.
Well, move my lighting around a little.
I know I turned my light off because it reflects in my glasses. It's just, I feel like there's no way to get around it.
Yeah, these spectacles tell on us every single time.
All right. Hello. We've got some more people joining in. My goodness. So fun. So, all right. What would you like me to call you on this? Because your name is Tailoring Gratitude. But Taylor, I found out, is your last name.
It is, and my name is actually Quinn Taylor. So you can call me Quinn. It's fine.
Perfect. Quinn. Okay. And I'm Shelby for Quinn's audience.
Yes.
And yeah. How's it going today? How you doing?
I am doing well. I don't think I've actually shared this with my audience, but I've been in recovery for a couple of weeks. I fell. To put it simply, I fell. But it wasn't a typical fall. I kind of hit my head and had a little concussion, and then I kind of hurt my rotator cuff. So, yeah, I've been
So
on.
you've been through it.
Yes, but I am here, I am present, and I am ready to help those or speak to whoever needs to hear what we have to say today.
Oh, I love that so much. And I think that this is just one of those times, especially where we just show up. Like Quinn is showing you.
Yes.
Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it sucks, but we know where our priorities are, and our priorities are always helping other people.
Yes.
Yeah. So always, and taking care of ourselves too along the way. I'm not saying put other people ahead of yourself. Not saying that, but you get me. So, Quinn, can you tell us a little bit about your story with CKD? Because we're starting out this series, so I thought we'd do a little introductions.
Sure. So my experience with CKD, as I like to say, the long, short version or the short, long version of the story is, I was a sophomore in college. I was at Iowa State University, go Cyclones. And my body just freaked out. I was having constant fatigue. I would sleep all day, supposed to be in class, but we'll let that pass. I had scabs over my legs from where my skin was tearing because it just all these freaking things were happening, and it wasn't normal. So I ended up coming back home spring semester and went to the doctor for something completely unrelated. They did my blood work, and when they saw my blood work, I got a phone call at 5 o'clock in the evening, and I always say this was the defining of my life, one of the defining moments, because they said to go to the emergency room now, your kidneys are failing. And I'm like, what? Who? So what they didn't know is dialysis had always been a part of my life because my dad had done dialysis since before I was born. So I knew about it, but it's a difference being like a caregiver, family member, support person, and then suddenly you turn to the patient. Believe me, it's very different.
Yeah.
I went through, I finished undergrad. I came back home to Chicago, finished undergrad.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I was working full time as a social worker. I was in grad school full time, getting my master's in clinical professional psychology. And, as I always say, you can plan the life that you want, but God has this sense of humor that
Right?
at that point, I wanted to change the world as this world famous psychologist and have the husband, the two and a half kids, the white fence and the puppy and all of that. But he said, no, that's not what I want you to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So over the next 2 years, it was like September of 2008 when my kidneys just began declining rapidly. So they said it's time to get you ready for dialysis.
Yeah.
Um, so I spent 2009 getting ready for dialysis. I always tell people I don't really remember 2009 because it was in and out of surgeries. Um, January 18th of 2010, I started in-center homo is in the place. In-center hemo,
Yes.
you know, hemodialysis. I was there for 6 years, just shy of 6 years. November 5th of
Wow.
2015, I got a life-saving kidney transplant after, you know, several barriers to getting transplanted, such as losing weight,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
just waiting on the list itself, And I went back to work. I got transplanted November 5th, went back to work January 4th. um,
Oh, that's so soon.
yeah. And in that time, while I was on dialysis, I discovered this space of patient advocacy. And
Mm-hmm.
it was one of the best things I ever found. And I went, from being this psych nerd, to really just being more focused on advocating for people. I have a
Mm-hmm.
mouth big enough to talk for everybody. So why not speak up for those who haven't found their voice yet? So
Ooh, I like that a lot.
yeah, so
Because
yeah.
I mean, the people that are watching, especially, I just think about like how was it for you guys? Were you able to just like speak up immediately, or was it hard for you? Because I know for me, it took me a while to find my voice. It took me a while to stand up and say, no, I need this or I need that. So you can leave it in the comments. It like how you guys were when you first were diagnosed too, because I see there's quite a few renal people in the chat. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just was
Oh no,
wondering about that for people watching too.
yeah, no, and I think part of being empowered was because I had spent so many years being a social worker. So I kind
That's
of knew
true.
insight about certain things. I definitely knew about patient rights. And
Mm-hmm.
I would see things on the floor. I would be like, that's not right. Say anything because patients are terrified to speak up because of retaliation.
Right.
Imagine you're there and these people have your lives. Literally, they have your life in their hand. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, everybody doesn't carry the same values and morals. And, if that person feels like you are getting them in trouble, whether it's for your benefit or not, they will do some very unthinkable things to retaliate against you. Lucky for me, I felt like I was familiar enough with the healthcare system and how things worked to
Mm-hmm.
speak up and not fear retaliation, but I did get retaliated against by quite a few people.
Yeah.
um, it just wasn't enough to stop me though. So
Ooh. I knew there was a reason I liked you. So awesome. So you got your transplant in 2018. Is that what you said?
2015.
2015. Okay. And how has your journey been since having the transplant health wise?
Health wise, it's been good. I think the thing I always want to stress to people with chronic kidney disease is that transplant is not a cure. It's another way of getting dialysis. In my opinion, one of the best, if not the best way to get dialysis.
Yeah.
It does come with its own set of, things.
Yes.
We call them things. You're taking pretty heavy medication, so your body is trying to always adjust to that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a different set of things you have to manage and focus, process through when you get transplanted. For me, I feel like I've been extremely blessed. I've had a compared to some of the stories I've heard, I've had a very smooth run with my kidney. My kidney has been awesome. It started working right there on the operating
Ooh,
table.
it's amazing.
I've never come close to, rejection, not going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just always served me the way that, I always prayed that it would. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you go through the ups and downs. Look, once you feel well and you get prednisoned, as I say,
I
uh,
know, right?
food gets really delicious. Any kind of food gets really delicious. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you just have to watch things like weight management and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, find my way around that. But I certainly cannot complain for the life this kidney has given me.
Oh, it's so incredible. I know that that people talk about how long kidneys last, like after they're transplanted. Is that anything that you think about? I know it's not quite on our topic yet, but I just was curious about that for you.
Oh, no, I think about it every day. Something a lot of people don't like to talk about. I think about rejection every day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I know it's not healthy, but it's honest.
Yeah.
Every day I think in my head, what if, what if?
Mm-hmm.
They say they never guarantee you anything because, of course, that would
Right.
set them up. But I've been encouraged, especially, and that's why I always encourage people to be a part of community, right? Because
Yes.
that with so many people, and they've had their kids for 20 years, 30 years. I met a lady, she had cancer, went through chemo,
Mm-hmm.
all of the stuff. She was like in a coma for months, and
Wow.
kidney sustained throughout it all.
Wow. That's incredible.
So,
I
go
That's been something really helpful for me is getting on some of those Facebook groups and people are like, I'm celebrating 20 years. I'm celebrating 30, 40 years. I'm like, let's do that. I
ahead.
like that.
I always say, God, the same God that does it for them is going to do it for me. So, like I said,
Exactly.
I'm young, I'm healthy. So, I'm going to claim this kidney to work for a very, very long.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say, I hope I say your name right. Beata Dupa, transplant renal, said I was a med student at the time of the diagnosis, so the doctors saw me as a colleague. So the discussions were easy. That's nice.
That is.
It's funny. My background before coming into life coaching was a speech language pathologist, and so I worked in the hospital. I actually worked with people on ventilators and with trachs that were on dialysis. So I was doing that when I was like 21 years old, maybe 22. It's like 22 years old, and it was just so funny because I came into like kidney, like having my diagnosis, and I knew the medical jargon. So people are like, what do you do? Are you a nurse? I'm like, no, speech therapist. But I think that there's something to be said about being comfortable with the medical jargon. I feel like that people do, like medical professionals do take you a little bit more seriously when you're familiar with that jargon,
Mhm.
which is challenging because not everybody has that skill set.
No, they don't. And I always say, I know that when I go in, I get the care that I deserve because most doctors know that I know what I'm talking about and I know what they're talking about. Uh,
Yes.
when I go in and they say hello, and then we have a conversation, and they see that they're having a conversation, like the young lady said, almost like a peer instead of a patient doctor.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
it really does. It can change the quality of care that you receive. And I'm thankful for it, but it's so disheartening for those who are new in this journey and don't have that type of experience or expertise. So that's why I always encourage patients, do research, learn as much as you can about your disease, whether it's CKD, if it's a rare disease in CKD or any disease. Please do research about it because you'll find that you'll learn a lot of things about your disease that your doctor might not talk to you about.
Yeah.
Um, and you can also find treatments and things like that that they don't necessarily know about or want to talk to you about, but that gives you the opportunity to put it out there on the table and let them know, hey, I know this disease and I know what can be helped how it can be helped. So let's have a real conversation. So
Oh, it's so true.
educate.
Yeah, because when I got diagnosed, they told me that I had thin membrane basement nephropathy, which is not what I had. I had Alport syndrome, but I didn't even figure that out till I went to a Facebook group and somebody told me. And I was able to go to the Cleveland Clinic and get some more answers. I still go to nephrologists, and most of them have said, they're like, I've seen like 2 of these cases in my entire career. And these are like the transplant centers too. So it is really important to know about your specific medical history, and it really is empowering. So let me ask you a question, Quinn.
Yes.
So today we were going to talk about finding purpose in CKD, and we've like danced around the topic, I feel like, but like for you, like how do you think that you have found purpose with CKD?
This was going to sound weird to some people, but I think the CKD led to my purpose.
Ooh.
And when I say that, if it had been for CKD, I wouldn't know that I was purposed to advocate for other people. Like I said, I wanted to be a psychologist, and even that's been helpful helpful for me in this space, because when you talk to patients, it kind of gives you that way to connect with them,
Mm-hmm.
which is still for me a part of purpose. So, truly, I found my purpose through this, what people think is bad or a negative thing has actually out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Ooh.
And people always look like, is she weird? Like, is she? No, I don't think anyone wakes up or any child grows up saying, I want kidney disease.
Right?
Or especially when you find out, like for me, it's genetic. Like I was living my best life and this just happened to me. And I couldn't, as I say, get in my feelings about it. Well, let me rephrase that. Initially, I did because I was in my early 20s.
Yeah, of
And
course. Like, how
time,
can you not?
that's just real selfish time in life, right? Um, but I couldn't stay there because I saw so much. I just saw so much opportunity to change, and some of it was just God change. Like I said, I expected to have my life a certain way, and it didn't turn out that way, and I had to grieve it. And I grieved the life that I planned for myself versus the life that was purposed for me. But once I figured out my purpose, it helped me to let it go, because I have something greater to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about me. I think that's one of the greatest things you can do in purpose. When you find your purpose, you learn that it's not about you. And it teaches you a lot about being selfless. And it teaches you a lot about being kind. And it teaches you a lot about life.
Yeah, and I just to go back to that part where you were talking about how you grieved, I think that you and I feel like are kind of on the other side of a lot of the obstacles and challenges. Not saying that life, I mean, you just are experiencing the healing from a fall. So I'm not saying like it's over, but to hear somebody say that's gone through something so challenging, like what you've gone through, and to say this is the best thing that happened to me, like that is just it. What would you say to somebody that's going through something really challenging right now that doesn't feel that way right now?
I would encourage them to feel their feelings, because their feelings are valid, and to let them know that it's a process, it's a journey. You don't just wake up one day and say, I accept all of this that has happened to me and I am at peace with it. It's a process, it's a journey, and it's not always an upward battle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but you just got to keep going forward. You have to keep forward. You have to you have to have the courage, I say, to keep going forward in the journey. And as you keep going forward, things will happen that'll show you it's not it's not the end of life. Like people get diagnosed and they think their life is over, die,
Right.
and all of that. And I always tell people dialysis it's not going to kill you. It keeps you
Right.
alive. Is it wonderful? I mean, it's wonderful. It keeps me alive, but the the experience of it, I mean, it is definitely an acquired taste. But
Well, and you come from a different perspective of watching your dad be on dialysis your entire life. How many years was he on dialysis for?
oh, before I was born, so he had started dialysis a year or two before I was born. So I tell people that was all I knew growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, when you're in grammar school, to sort of date myself, they would teach you about gender roles, and the mommy stayed home and she did the cooking and cleaning, and the dad went to work and he came in, you know, that type of thing. And I would raise my hand. I said, no, the mommy goes to work and the dad dialysis. And then my parents had to have a talk with me to let me know that my life was a lot different than the other kids in my classroom. But it was great. It was great because I got to see a different house, you know, or a different experience that was me. Um, so, uh, yeah, it was interesting.
Oh, I love that so much. And you know, I just think about too, if I was diagnosed when I was 31. I had three kiddos. One was one at the time. And you know, we got labs back and I was trying to figure out like what's going on. And I knew there was something going on with my kidneys, but we didn't know what. And so the doctors at one point called me back and said, hey, get down here like right away. And I was like, they're going to tell me I have like 2 months to live or something. Like my brain just went crazy, right? And when I remember being on the drive there with my husband and holding his hand. And as I was as we were driving there, I was just having like all of these flashbacks of everything that had happened in my life so far. And I could honestly say at that moment, I was like, I don't regret a single thing that I've done.
Yeah.
And it was really powerful for me because I think that people go through that point sometimes. And sometimes it isn't that. Sometimes you're like, oh crap, like I need to like do some other stuff. And that wasn't to say that I didn't want to live, but I really felt like I came to peace
Mm-hmm.
with that part of me. And if I was called home, I was going to be okay with it. I didn't want to, but I could be at peace with it. And I feel like that point on really helped me to see that how precious life is.
Yes. And the other part of getting through all of this was gratitude for me.
Exactly.
And people always say, well, how did, kidney disease teach you to be grateful? It taught me a lesson. You don't wait for it to lose things to be grateful for them.
Oh,
You
yes.
grateful for them in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, it took me losing my kidney function to be grateful for simple things.
Right.
Have a cup of ice water.
Right.
you know, I couldn't do that anymore, because I had to measure my fluids. It was 32 ounces of fluid a day. Um, but in that, I was like, I'm not going to take things for granted anymore. I'm going to be grateful for everything I can do. Everything I can either wallow in what I can't do, I can wallow in what I can't eat, all of these things, or I can be grateful for what I can eat, and grateful that I can actually eat. And all of these things. So that was an important component of it. So I just always encourage people, don't wait, even people in your life, don't wait till you lose things to become grateful for them. And hopefully we can all get to that place like you experienced, Shelby. If today was the day I was called home, would I be at peace with it? I can say, yeah, I would be at peace with it, you know. Because I've done so many great things in this world. I have showed the goodness of God to so many people in this world. I've helped people, and that's what I really do. That's what I've surrendered to doing in my life, and I've done it, and I'm doing it. And so, like, as long as you're inside God's perfect will and doing that, I just think you can't be unsettled about it. I don't know.
Yes. And it's so funny. I was just getting coached by my life coach today. And something that really came up for me was that I was born on purpose with a purpose.
Yes.
And I don't think that purpose is something, sometimes people are like, I just want to find my purpose. But I think that there's a difference between that and living with purpose. And each day, like you were talking about, like stepping out, like one step in front of the other, moving forward, that sometimes is the purpose. And it's like the lessons are going to come along the way, but it's really important to just start walking into that path and trusting that the purpose is going to reveal itself.
Yes, and I think sometimes we're in such a hurry. We always want things. We're a generation, or we're the start of generations that like instant gratification, right?
Mm-hmm.
I receive, and that's not how life works. Sometimes it takes a while. You have to go through some things, to get to that purpose, you know. And I always feel like in those times, it's giving you the tools and growing you and maturing you and things for you to live the purpose. But you can't just jump into it sometimes. Sometimes, there's got to be some self work there.
Yeah. Kirsty Ann Photography says, I find it so very hard to see the purpose sometimes. Let me just like open up all the space for that because it's true. Like sometimes it does feel that way.
You know, sometimes it feels like you can't find the hope in the situation,
Mm-hmm.
the purpose. Um, but I always say it's okay to feel that way
Yeah.
because feelings. And if on this Monday you see the purpose of it, that's fine. But if you keep moving, and as you keep moving, um, your perspective of things changes. I like to your
Absolutely.
perspective changes. And so what you once saw as harm, um, you know, at some points you might see as good or helpful. It's interesting. People always ask me, did I go through the why did this happen to me? Like, God, why did you do this to me? And I always say confidently, I never asked why this happened to me. Why not me?
That's exactly what I said too.
Yeah,
Like,
why not?
because I was just like, what would make me special that something like this wouldn't happen to me? Like, I think that it should happen to other people. Like, I'm just a regular person. Of course, this could happen to me. And it's
Yeah,
not anything that I did wrong. It's not that anything that anybody did wrong. It just
no.
happened. And I don't think that things happen to teach us a lesson, but I think that we can find our purpose no matter what happens.
And that's what I was going to say. You know, why not me? Why not give me these circumstances to?
Yeah,
Because if it, like I said, if it never happened, I would have never found the purpose or my purpose. And so, I can't get angry about it, and it would be so frustrating. And this is me being judgy. I'm sorry. I would see patients be so angry this happened to them, and like a lot of times they have like diabetes or high blood pressure, and I'm like, I was living my best good young life, and it just happened to me. I can deal with it. Do you know what I mean? And I can.
yeah.
I pray that you find that same thing, because if I could be real bitter,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know,
real.
it's funny too, because I'll take my clients through where they like have a lot of anger, and I experience this too. Like I'll be really angry about something, and usually the question that happens for me is like, there's something here to be sad about. Like, what is there to be sad about? Like, what am I grieving? And so, like, letting myself feel the anger, but then, like, soften into the grieving. And then it opens up space for the perspective change.
Yes, yes, you have to grieve it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to feel it. That's why I say feel it. Those are your feelings. They're valid.
Yeah.
There's no timeline on it either. It
Mm-hmm.
might take you a year to get into a better place with it. I've known people it's taken them years to accept. Your journey is yours, and it's made for you. So my prayer is that you find that you go through the journey that's most beneficial for you, and that on the other side of it, that you come to a place of acceptance. And
Yeah, and I will say I started this Instagram account a long time ago, like back in oh, I don't know, like 2016 or something. Like I've been on Instagram forever. But I it started out with like food stuff. I was like always taking pictures of food, and I was like, I should just have a separate account for that. And then I was diagnosed with kidney failure, and I then in 2016, I got pregnant while I was in kidney failure. And I was looking around, like, who else is experiencing this? Like, I just want to know, like, does it work out in the end? And my son's walking through. um, and so I was like, there's nobody out here like telling, there's no studies, there's nothing about this. And so I was like, I guess it's me. Like, I guess I'm the one. I
Yeah.
guess I'm the one to tell people, hey, this sucks and it's hard and it's possible. And so maybe if you're not finding your purpose, like maybe it's time for you to be the one.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because sometimes you just have to be the one. A lot of people suffer in silence.
Yeah.
They don't know about it. They don't want to share. They have fear of being judged, fear of being bullied, all kinds
Mm-hmm.
of telling that.
Yeah, I like if you go back like so far on this account, like I never posted pictures of myself. I was like, nobody like needs to see me. And now it's like only pictures of me. And that's not because I'm like self-absorbed or anything, because I'm like, I don't like putting stuff out there of me.
Yes.
But I know it serves a higher purpose, and it helps somebody to be seen, and it helps somebody to be able to get help and to be able to process everything that's happened to them. Because it's what I had to do.
It's actually funny you say that, because I always say the way I knew this was my purpose. Your purpose puts you in places.
Ooh.
You know, I'm such a I don't like attention person. I love to be the best. Like even in work, I do things, but I'm in the background. You know what I'm saying? Like you never. I'm really fine there. All of the pictures you see on my Instagram, I have those because it just isn't my thing.
Yep.
Found that God kept putting me in the front.
Mm-hmm.
I kept getting pushed in the front, and I was like, no, I don't want to. Let
I
me.
know. I know.
And again, that's when I figured out it wasn't about me. It was about helping other people. And so my thing was, if it's to help someone else, I'll step out of my comfort zone
Yes.
to do it if it's going to help other people. Because if it was up to me, there would be no Instagram account.
Right?
But it's not about me. And so I willingly step out of my comfort zone to talk about these experiences. And the other thing I always like to share with people, like these are experiences you're hearing, but these stories I'm telling you are my life and things that I've really lived through. And so sometimes to be that vulnerable, to relive those things in order to share it, is quite a notion. But
I know.
it's necessary sometimes because, like you said, I don't look on the internet and see all these stories or people that look like me or they've been through what I've been through. So maybe I'm supposed to be the one to tell this story to kind of ignite this movement or this people finding the courage to speak up more. So yeah, but no,
Oh,
I
I
always
love that.
your purpose pushes you in places that are not comfortable.
Yes. I so feel you on that. And Kirsty Ann, she says that there's me using my photography and self-portrait to show a journey. See, why are you hiding your purpose from yourself? Hold on a second.
See, I need to see this. I need to see it.
Oh, she's got a great account. Yeah, you'll have to follow her afterwards.
Yes, I would love to see it. And I just think it's so beautiful the different ways share that story. Like me, I talk a lot. So I'll talk all day.
I
But
know we better wrap up, but it was so amazing to have you. And we're going to do this again next week, guys. So
yeah.
we'll have a new topic for you. So be looking on the Instagram feeds and we'll let you know what we're doing. Thanks so much for joining us, Quinn.
Oh, thank you for having me. You have wonderful, wonderful community. I'm so glad that we get to, work together.
Me
She's back
too.
with her.
All right. Have a good one.
All right,
All right.
bye.
Bye-bye.